Hello everyone and welcome to today's live. I'm so excited that you're here. My name is Stephanie. I am your IEP coach and veteran special education teacher, and today we're talking all about adapted books. I love adapted books. I started using them when I was teaching in a self-contained setting and have never looked back. So I'm going to show you talk about all things adapted books, how to prep them, different ways to prep them, how to store them, how to display them, why they're beneficial to the students in your classroom, and not just in special education classrooms, but really all classrooms, and give you some different ideas about how to use them and how you can weave them into your lesson plans and into your curriculum. So the first thing that I want to talk about today is what is an adapted book. And so let me pull out some examples that I have here. So this is how I store, actually giving you a peek inside, how I store adapted books when I'm not using them. Same goes for in the classroom as well. We'll talk about how we're storing them other ways as well later, but this is how I store them when I'm not using them. I like these containers because they're nice. You can fit a bunch in there. You don't have to worry about anything else getting in there. You can store them. I like to store them front back like this, and they fit perfectly in here, so I don't have to worry about the spines. Anyway, let's look at, I want to pull one out from a different container that I have down here. Here is my other container of adapted books, and I'm just going to pull one out at random. Let's do this one right here. I don't know what it is, but we're going to do this one. Things to do in winter. So this is an adapted book, and like you can see, I'm going to come around the table here. As you can see, this is a book that you print and prep yourself. We do have digital adapted books. They come with every printable book that you purchase. You can use a digital adapted book on any device that has access to Google Drive. And so when you download the books out of wherever you're purchasing them from or from within Adapted Book Club, you will get the printable link, the printable download for the comprehension test as well, and you'll also get the PDF that has the digital links in it for level 1 and level 2. So there are 2 different levels. All the books outside of Mrs. D's Corner and Adapted Book Club all have 2 different levels. So level 1, and they're going to be labeled here at the top. So this is a level 2 book, and what that means is this book has sentences in it. A level 1 book is going to have more of the vocabulary words and less of the sentences. Now the books are going to match identically, okay, in terms of pictures and what is on each page. The icons are going to be exactly the same. But what is different between the level 1 and level 2 is, again, the level 1 is going to be those words, those keywords, the definitions are going to be more in the level 2, and we're going to do a little bit more explaining in the level 2 book. Same goes for the digital adapted book. So whatever level 1 looks like in the printable version, the digital adapted book is going to look exactly the same on your digital device, and same with level 2. So nothing is changing, nothing is different except for the wording that you see on each page, which is nice because when you have students working on different levels and you have a student working on maybe a level 1 and a level 2, but you're doing the same topic, they can have the same exact book, but it's gonna just read a little different, right? Everybody's using the same thing. Let me see if I can find, oh, I know growth mindset. I have level 1 and level 2. So here is level 1, level 2 of growth mindset. Here is page 1, and this is the perfect example of the difference between a level 1 on top and a level 2 adapted book. Again, everything is the same. The answer pieces are mixed up on the sides because you don't want them in order, but they're all the same. Everything looks the same, just the wording is a little different. And so this is what an adapted book is. How you use it is you print and prep it, or you use the digital version, and as you are going throughout the story, you're going to have students match the icons from this side here over into the book. This keeps them engaged, this keeps them with active listening, so they're not only listening to the text, they're also looking at the picture to learn more from the pictures at the same time, but then they also have to pay attention to know what goes with which. So it is a great matching activity, it's a great fine motor activity, but also a great activity for cross-curricular skills because you can do adapted books for any academic area, any like social skills, behaviors. You can write an adapted book or use adapted books for so many different things. And so that is what an adapted book is. So now how do you prep adapted books? So I showed you the printable laminated version of the larger adapted books that we have. I have some here that I actually just printed before this that I have to prep for the upcoming months. And you can prep mini adapted books, which I have a couple stashed down in here. You can prep them a couple of different ways. Mini adapted books, basically, you're going to print your PDF multiple pages to one page. And so this is what it's going to look like when it's printed. Now, depending upon your students or how you want to prep them, you can either just cut each quarter of the paper like this and have them do the activity this way and read, or you can cut out the squares and have them do the book this way. So see how much smaller they are, right? But I like the mini adapted books because you can send these home in backpacks. Students can read these at home with their parents. Parents are knowing what they're learning about. You could even use this as like a little quiz at the end of the week if you're talking about certain topics. This is also a great way, again, fine motor. I love fine motor activities. You can build them into just about anything. And so then I print the answer piece pages 50% of the original size when I'm printing out the PDF. And so instead of printing the full page, I just print 50% of the page, and then they fit perfectly inside the adapted book. So we're actually gluing them into the book, and then I just staple the book at the top. Same goes for these ones. Here's a bearded dragon adapted book that we have inside of Adapted Book Club, and so you can see we glued the different pictures inside. So you can either do, again, the quarter pages or make them really, really small and do it this way. Either way, these are great to send home. These are great activities if you want students to learn more at home, or if parents are asking for things to do with their students at home. These tie in perfectly with a lot of different skills, a lot of IEP goals that you may have for your students. So you can definitely do that, and it's a quick print and go, or again, do the digital version. You can send them the digital version, and that's super, super easy. So I like to, when I am prepping adapted books, I am very much a do things in bulk. So I will print all of my adapted books at once, regardless if I am printing them all like this, or if I am printing them in the mini format. I am printing them all at once. And if I'm doing minis, once I have everything printed, so this is just a pile of adapted books that we have coming out for Adapted Book Club in the coming months, and I wanted to take some pictures of them and show them to you today. I will separate everything by their individual book. So this here is its own book, and so I'll set that aside. And then this here is its own book, and I will set it aside. So what do you do for the back piece if you're printing it out and laminating it? What is this piece right here? This is just a blank piece of cardstock that I laminate as I'm laminating the adapted books. And then I add 2 strips of Velcro, add it to the back of the book, and now this is where all of my adapted pieces are going to live for this adapted book, so that I don't have to lose them. Now, you can just as easily put a little baggie on the back of the very last page of your adapted book and throw all of your pieces in there, pull them out when it's time to do that adapted book. It's not really going to save you that much space when it comes to storing them or having them out in your classroom. I like this better because if I know that I'm not going to necessarily lose any pieces because they're all Velcroed on here. Same with the baggie, you're probably not going to lose many pieces or any at all. I like the look of this personally better, but you do what works best for you in your classroom. Again, just cardstock, laminate it, it's good to go. And then I try to match up so you can see how we have a level 1 and level 2, and there's 2 colors on here, so I make sure that they somewhat kind of match with the cardstock colors. It gives it a little color and excitement to the adapted books. Not that adapted books need them, because they are exciting for students to begin with. So you can prep them in that way. When I'm prepping things in bulk, so I'm going to print everything at once, then I'm going to turn my laminators on because I use personal at-home laminators. I use the Scotch laminators. I've used others. I've heard other people use different brands and they work well. I am partial to the Scotch brand. I've never been let down by my laminators, and so I've had mine for over a decade, which is crazy, and they still work perfectly fine. And I use the Scotch laminating pouches, the 200 pack on Amazon. I usually buy it when it's between $20 and $25. It's usually the best price. I've tried other pouches. They're not the same quality, so I stick with Scotch when it comes to everything lamination from home. You can laminate these at school on the larger laminator as well. It's just truly up to you how you want to do that. So I'm going to print everything at once. I'm going to bulk laminate everything at once. Then I'm going to bulk cut everything out, or cut the pages and bind them all at once. And then I save the answer pieces for last. I will laminate them all together. Let me find the answer piece for this book here. I will laminate everything together, and then at the end, so let's say that I already have this book laminated, it's already bound, this is laminated, ready to go. As I'm getting ready to do the answer pieces, I will stick them in here, and then I'm going to do Velcro all at the same time. I am team laminate and then cut, which I know some of you might be like, oh my goodness, things are gonna fall apart. I actually did an experiment a couple of years ago, and I redid the experiment last summer or the summer before with different types of paper, different types of lamination, using them frequently, pulled them up off the Velcro many times, many times, and collected all of the data, and everything peels. So I'm gonna save myself time, laminate, cut. Off that pedestal, that is how I prep all of the adapted books. And so I'm going to, again, print everything at once, bulk laminate everything at once. I'm gonna bind everything, then I'm gonna Velcro everything. If I'm doing digital books, I'm gonna make all of the digital copies into my Google Drive at once, and then I'm gonna separate them into the folders where they go. I tried to pull one up on my tablet, but Google Drive is not cooperating with my tablet right now in time for this live. But with the mini books, I'm also gonna do the same thing, print them all at once, and then I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna have students cut them out, if we're gonna cut them into quarters, if we're gonna make them smaller, if I'm going to cut them out and have them ready to go, or if students are gonna cut them out, or what that activity is going to look like. When it comes to actually using adapted books in the classroom, and then I want to talk about 10 reasons to use adapted books in your classroom, and I have them written down because I will forget them all. Mom brain, teacher brain, too many things going on up here at once, so I wrote them down. But how to store your adapted books. Okay, so again, this is how I store my adapted books when they are not being used by students. This is how I did it in the classroom as well. I had different totes. These are just Sterlite totes from Walmart or Target. You can use any tote that you want. I like the lids that seal because then I don't have to worry about, especially in the South, condensation, or if a hurricane rolls through and water comes into the school, you never know. I don't have to worry about my books getting damaged or having less damage than they would if they were just in a cardboard box. So I store them all in here. I can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 30. I can fit about 30, almost 40 books inside of one of these totes. This is just a filing tote, so the hanging folder totes that you can get. I can fit about 40 adapted books inside of one of these totes. I have 2 of them, and so that is what I'm currently using. When it comes to showcasing them in the classroom, I do have, I'm gonna lift it up for you. I have one of these that I had in the classroom as well. And so one of these tiered bookshelves, you can store them on there. I would also put our classroom library books on there. So I would never separate the classroom library books from the adapted books. They would go on the same bookshelf together because they are still books just as of any other type of book. They're just adapted and a little bit different because we're printing them ourselves. And so I would store them on there as well. So let's say that it is February and we have a bunch of books for Valentine's Day on there. I'm gonna pull all of my February related books or all of my Valentine's related adapted books, and I'm gonna store them on there as well, so that if students wanna read one of these stories during reading time, story time, free time, they can go read any of the books at their leisure at any time that they want, and so they're available for them to use. When they're not in use here or in the other method I'm gonna show you, they are staying in here. The other method that you can use is you can make adapted books that go along with student IEP work bins. And so I will come back and link. You have a lot of links in the video description of this video. So if you're watching this live, I don't think I linked this, but I'll come back and link it for you. If you're watching the replay, you'll find the link below. IEP work bins. And so you can print adapted books to work on a variety of skills. Again, if you are working on picking something up with a certain grasp or being able to pick something up and put it somewhere else, adapted books are great for working on that fine motor skill. If you are working on a specific skill like counting, or maybe doing an ELA skill, maybe working on CVC words, you can definitely use adapted books for those. We have over 1,500 titles of adapted books inside of Adapted Book Club. There's titles for everything: science, social studies, behaviors, social skills, life skills, IEP related things. We have a whole bundle on IEP, learning about my IEP and being a good self-advocate. So literally all of the things. We have monthly themes, and then we have new books that come out every month. But you can pick your adapted books, put them in your IEP work bins, and students can use them. This is just a clear bin that I got at Target this year. This is a book bin. You can use them in color-coded bins. You can store them all like this if you wanted to showcase all of your adapted books this way for the month or for that lesson or whatever it may be. You can store it all in here. Students can flip through this and easily find books that they want to read as well. So it really just depends on how much storage space you have in terms of how you want to store them when they're not being used. Digital version is a lot easier to store because all you need is a tablet, right? This is a lot easier to store than printable versions, but there is such a good, so many good skills students can actually learn and use functionally from actually doing one of this style of an adapted book. So you just have to take that into account. How much space do you have available to store things? And then how do you present them during a lesson? Do you want them on your bookshelf for students to be able to use, or do you want to just do them in small group or whole group or individual lessons? Do you want them in IEP work bins to work on specific skills? You can do a mix of all of them. You don't have to pick one way to prep adapted books, which is one of the best things about them. There's so many ways to prep them and use them in the classroom, and then there's so many different ways that you can store them, and it really just depends on how you want to use them in the classroom. So let's talk about the 10 different reasons to use adapted books. So we've talked about targeting cross-curricular skills, because you can teach through a book, and we know this from using picture books in the classroom as well, and just chapter books and everything, that books target more than just reading skills. We can learn so many different topics, learn about so many different things, about different functional skills, again, life skills, social skills, behaviors, prepare students with social stories for upcoming things with different books, and so adapted books fit perfectly into that. But they're also working on social skills, again, fine motor, and the reciprocity of language. You're going to take, so a lot of our students, we know that they are working on grade level skills, but they're often grade levels behind their peers. They have to have access to that grade level curriculum, right? So they get access with their IEP through those accommodations, those modifications, those supports and services. Through all of those things in their IEP, they access the general education curriculum. Well, how do you, for example, teach a student, let me find a good, here's a good one. How do you teach a student about the life cycle of a crayfish or a crawfish, crawdad, whatever you call them? How do you teach them this topic in alignment with the grade level topic, but on that student's skill level, right? Or their reading level, or whatever it may be. You do that through the use of adapted books, because we're learning the meat and potatoes here in these books and taking out all of the fluff. They're illustrated, so they're also learning at the same time through the illustrations. And then you also have the level 1, again, which is those vocabulary words, those key words that they're going to need to know about that topic. And you have the level 2, which dives in a little bit further. So you can target those cross-curricular skills and also meet grade level curriculum skills through adapted books. And these are really engaging and they're fun for students. So you're bringing them the grade level text on their level, making it really, really engaging. You're going to build language and vocabulary skills. Again, level 1 has those vocabulary words as the actual title or the text in the book, and then level 2 is going to define it and talk about it a little bit more. So you could start with a level 1 and then move into a level 2, or go level 1 back to, or go to a level 2 and then go back to a level 1 to define different words. Or use the level 1 book as more of flashcards to kind of go over the words that we talked about in the level 2 book. There's so many different ways to use adapted books. It's fantastic. But then you also, for students that have limited verbal communication, and those are our nonverbal students, or students maybe who use AAC devices or different core vocabulary boards or have different ways of communication than spoken word, their adapted books are great because it allows them to give you a response to a question. And so what I love about this is you could also use these pieces to test their comprehension. Not to mention that there are comprehension questions given inside of each adapted book, but that gives them the visuals to present an answer to you and show you their comprehension, their understanding of the text and of the curriculum topic that you're going over. And so it really helps them have a sense of accomplishment, and it's that true sense of inclusion when it comes to meeting students where they are, but also teaching them the grade level curriculum that their peers are being experienced with and being introduced to. You can take learning into the kinesthetic. You're going to build that comprehension. You have vocabulary and key concepts, all while assessing student comprehension. We just talked about that. Each adaptive book comes with different comprehension questions in the back. So the level 1's going to have 2 comprehension questions. Those same comprehension questions are going to be in the level 2 book, but you're going to have 2 additional questions inside the level 2. So level 1 has 2 questions, level 2 has 4 questions. There's also a printable PDF that has the actual comprehension test for each level. So level 1's going to have the 2 questions on the printed page, and then level 2 book is going to have the 4 questions on the page with the visuals, so all they have to do is circle the answer. Digital adaptive books also have the questions at the end. You're going to see the end page, and I wish my tablet was cooperating with me today. It is not, but there is an end page, so it says the end, and then on the digital one, you click next, and it has the question, and they literally just click the button. If the answer is correct, it will say great job. You click the arrow, go to the next question. If they get the answer incorrect, or if they choose an incorrect response for any page, it prompts them to try again. And so they cannot move forward or through the rest of the book until they get the correct response. And so it's kind of self-correcting in that way and helping students. It's a great independent activity too if you want them to learn about a topic or be introduced to a topic independently. You could do that with a digital adaptive book. The adaptive books are going to motivate students to also attend to the lesson and be proactive in engaging them and also participating in the lesson. So one way that I love to do adaptive books with the whole group lesson is all of the adaptive books have all these answer pieces, right? You've seen multiple different adaptive books, and so this works with the digital adaptive books, or with the regular adaptive books, the printed ones. You could do with digital, but you have to pass the tablet around. I love to break up all of these questions. So let's say we have 4 students sitting here for a small group, or maybe that's my classroom, depending upon your caseload and your student classroom setting. I have 12 different answer pieces that go with this book. I have 4 students, so each student's going to get 3 different answer pieces. They're not going to be in order, and they have to pay attention. So I'm going to read the page. Crayfish are omnivorous, nocturnal crustaceans that are, I cannot read backwards that way, that are cousins to the lobster. So crayfish are omnivorous, nocturnal crustaceans that are cousins to the lobster. So I'm going to read this page. I'm going to have it presented this way. And then I'm going to say, who has the picture that matches this page? Who has the picture of the crayfish or the crawfish, the crawdads? And so that student, whoever has it, is going to put that answer here. And then we're going to move to page 2. I'm going to read it. We're going to look at our answer pieces. Who has the matching picture to show all of the crayfish in the fresh water here in the rice fields and the rice paddies? And so this is such a fun book. I love this crawfish life cycle book. That is how I do the lessons with adaptive books in a whole group setting. I break up the answer pieces amongst the students, and so it's a great way for them to attend and participate in a lesson. Everyone gets the same answer pieces. We're not going in any specific order. We have to pay attention to the book while we're going through the story to be able to answer the question or find the correct answer piece. And so it's truly amazing how we have students who, we talk about a lot. We don't need to have IEP goals for eye contact. And you have a lot of students who might be stimming or working on something else, but they are very much listening to you and what's going on. And then you say, who has this picture for this page? Who has the picture of the female that lays the eggs? Where are all the eggs, the crawfish eggs? And they'll just give you the answer piece because they are listening. And so this shows to you that they are paying attention, they are attending the lesson, and they are participating. Reading these books definitely increases reading stamina and the amount of time that a student can focus on the task and focus on a specific skill or engage within a text for you or a specific topic. And so that covers a whole bunch of IEP skills all in one. So you can target a math skill. You can print out an adaptive book for a math skill. Maybe it's single digit addition and you have an adaptive book on it. So we're practicing the skill for the IEP goal. But now we're also practicing our reading stamina, which maybe we can take data on. Maybe we don't have an IEP goal for that, but we can take data on that to keep track of reading stamina, how long we're attending to a task. But then we can also target vocabulary skills. So maybe another IEP goal is we're learning concepts of math terminology. And so maybe we can have the student, as we're reading the story or after we read the story, pick out those key math terms, the key math vocabulary, and tell you what they mean. And so there you can target, that's 3 different skills within one book, and that's just off the top of my head with one single adaptive book. And that is the last thing, the 10 reasons to use adaptive books, is you can target so many IEP goals with one adaptive book. And it's absolutely amazing the amount of times that you'll find you using adapted books to target IEP goals, throw them in an IEP bin. You can even just give them an IEP book. Maybe you have a transition time and you have 6 minutes, and you're like, all right, we can get through this level 1 science safety signs in 6 minutes. Let's go through this real quick as a class. And you can even just say, have them repeat the words, and you can have students learn little chants or things like that that go along with the books. Take the books into the inclusion classrooms, take them with you to specials, take them out to recess, work on them to remind them, show them, use them as social stories. There's truly so many ways that you can use adapted books in the classroom. And so there are so many adapted books in our Teachers Pay Teacher shop. You're going to find, again, a lot of links below this training. You're going to see we have 20 free adapted books that you can download. That is the very first link you're going to find at the top of the video description. It is to download 20 free adapted books. So click that page, put your name and email in there, and we will send them out to you. And then you also can just purchase any of our adapted books, individual adapted books, like specific titles, on our Teachers Pay Teacher shop, which I've linked the individual titles. We also have bundles of adapted books that you can get as well, and so those are also linked below. But the biggest thing with adapted books is, if you want to get the best bang for your buck, we have what is called Adapted Book Club. And this will be, we're coming up on our 4th year of Adapted Book Club. We opened it in November of 2020, so in November it'll be our 4th anniversary of Adapted Book Club. We have over 1,500 different books inside of Adapted Book Club. New books every single month. And we have this month right now, from today, August 14th of 2024 through August 18th of 2024, we are doing our back to school promotion where you can save $97 when you join. So that is the all access fee. That all access pass fee essentially gives you access to every single book that we have in our Teachers Pay Teacher shop inside of Adapted Book Club. And then your yearly or monthly fee is what is going to give you access to all of the exclusive adapted books, which there's hundreds of exclusive titles that aren't available on TPT, that aren't available anywhere else, that are just inside of Adapted Book Club. It's going to give you access to all of those, and then the brand new books that we put out every month. So you're going to get 3 or 4, a lot of the times you're getting more than that every single month, brand new adapted books that you're not going to find anywhere else. And so that link is also there to join. You're going to use the code ALLACCESS, which is a coupon code. It's going to take that $97 off when you go to check out. And so you have that as well. I've also linked a lot of blog posts below this training, and I've also linked other videos as well on our YouTube channel for adapted books and all about adapted books, how to use the TrueBind binding machine to bind your books, how to prep an adapted book, 4 different ways to use adapted books in the classroom. And just, there's so many additional resources for you linked below this training, so I encourage you to check those out. Again, the promotion goes until Sunday, August 18th at midnight. That coupon code, those 20 free bonus books that you're going to get when you sign up through the end of this week, those are going to disappear at the end of this week. So I just want to encourage you to take a look at that. You can click the link, read more about Adapted Book Club, see more about what it's all about, get an insider's look at some of the different titles. If you would like to learn more about the titles that we have, you can always send us an email at support@mrsdscorner.com, and we'd be happy to share those with you. If you ever have an adapted book topic that you're like, I need an adapted book for this, let us know. Again, support@mrsdscorner.com, or leave a comment here on this video, this training, of what topic you would love to see an adapted book written for, like this, or in a digital version. All of our adapted books come in print and digital versions in a level 1 and level 2. Let us know. We are always open to writing adapted books that you need for your classroom. So I don't see any comments to answer here while we are live. So without further ado, I'm going to let you go for the day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Again, if you have any questions about anything adapted book related, please reach out. I am here to help you, and I am here to be, I guess, kind of like your adapted book ambassador, or a lover of all things adapted books. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I am going to be that person for you, and I'm going to help you figure out how to use adapted books in your classroom the most effective way and efficient way that you can use them, store them, and all of the good things in the classroom. So I will see y'all later. Thank you so much for being here. Have a good one.